an Indiana Jones MPU board, and the client sent this to me with the power driver board and another board that I've repaired. It's a bidirectional motor board on a whitewater. And I took a look at the board when it first came in, and I could see the blue meanies on this battery terminal. And so of course I always clip the battery holders off, and you can see what's underneath there. All of that darkened area, all that cross-hatched area is corrosion that has invaded the solder mask. I was just having a discussion with somebody who used Zap or a toilet bowl cleaner or mustard or whatever. It's not going to get underneath that solder mask like the corrosion has, and it's not going to abate the corrosion. The worst part of this is going to be, or is, this trace that leads from one of these 339s over to one of these chips over here. It's no biggie for me to fix this, but with battery holders still on the board, this is the kind of stuff that's going to be hidden. WPC power driver board with fuse F116 blown. That's the fuse that's vertical right from here to here on the other side, and I buzzed it with my meter in continuity, and it's open. So I suspect immediately that BR5 is blown. So let's diode check it. Meter set to diode test. Black on the oddball leg, as I call it. That leg's okay. That leg is charging the capacitor. That leg is shorted, and that leg is just fine. So one more time. That's fine. Anything around 0.5, 0.6 is good. This one's okay. Shorted and okay. This one's going to have to come out. And presto changeo, I've installed a new bridge. Here's the old one, cleanly removed. And we can test the new bridge. Good, good. And then skip across catty corner and test with the black lead on the flanking legs. So black on the oddball leg, red on the flanking legs, then red across the corner, and black on the flanking legs. That bridge is good. The Indiana Jones MPU had the corrosion damage, and I have abated that. I've replaced these 4 10K resistors. I've sanded this to bare copper and made sure all the traces had good continuity. Conformal coated that so the copper won't oxidize. Installed NVRAM, updated the ROM from level 5 to level 7, and replaced J210, the power input header. And I just noticed that I left the cap off at C31, so I got to put that on. The driver board was only delivering 4.90 volts, and while that may not be enough to cause a reset, I decided it was better to install an easy SBC 5-volt regulator, which is now putting out 5.07 volts. The unregulated 12 is at 14, and the regulated 12 is at 11.8. The coil power's at 68, let's call it, and flasher's at 20. So those are all good. So we're ready to test this board now. I did replace the general illumination and power input headers all the way around the board. 3 of them over here. So let's put the board into test. And it's not in an Indiana Jones, so there may be a few spurious test messages. So now we're in switch test. Whoops. So I'm going to walk across the diagonal, showing that all the rows and columns are working. And I can test the coin door switches also. And those are all working perfectly. solenoid test. We'll make it run. That was the control gates on the top of the playfield. And that is all the solenoids to test. Flashers, same thing. And that is all the flashers. General illumination. I did replace cap C5, C2, and C4 on this board. And it's working properly. Can do all lamps. Looking good. And that is it. This board pair is good to go now. So I've done as much as I can to this board to abate any kind of resets. Oh, I also added this blocking diode that protects C11 if a connector is installed incorrectly. If the client still has resets, then he needs to walk through the PinWiki guide, and most likely that it involves repinning J101 and possibly J114. J101 is typically the one that's mostly indicted in resets. Thanks for sending it.